when you go into those spaces and everyone is holding a cocktail and you're the one sitting there with a bottle of water or at best a Sprite in a cup, people start questioning it. I am absolutely not anti-alcohol. I'm not anti-drinking at all. It was just a little personal experiment that I wanted to try to see what the impact was on my body and what would be the benefits of trying to reduce a little bit of alcohol intake, a little bit of sugar intake, so that I could enjoy this menopausal journey just a little bit, because, honey, it has been a struggle. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Melanated Midlife podcast, and welcome back to the conversation that I have started about my both menopausal journey and my sober curious journey. So a while back, about a month ago to be exact, I let you know that I was starting an experiment where I was going to abstain from alcohol for at least 30 days because I felt like there was a need to start being a little bit more conscious about the things that I was ingesting, what I was doing health-wise, because my menopausal symptoms, this has been a freaking journey. And I can only tell you that I'm so desperate to get some relief from the hot flashes and the disruptive sleep that I was willing to try anything, which included giving up my beloved frozen margaritas or my very beloved white wine or champagne. These are all the things that were good friends of mine. However, I wanted to get a little bit more in tune with what I was doing health-wise, because there just had to have been a better way outside of, some of the other more crazy things that I've heard about to try to combat some of these symptoms. So it all started, of course, with the menopausal symptoms, but then I also started reading a book. If you want to refer back to that episode for the first iteration of Sober Curious, I read a book by Ruby Warrington, which was published in 2018. And in that, she talks about this whole concept of being sober curious, where you are not necessarily saying you will never ever drink an alcohol or a cocktail again, but that you're being more conscious of when you make the choice to do so. That it's not an automatic response to going out to dinner or an automatic thing that you do when you decide to hang out with friends after work, that you're more intentional about what decisions you're going to be making towards alcohol consumption. So that resonated with me, especially considering the fact that I was having some major problems just sleeping through the night. And those of you that have talked about your own menopausal journey, you know what I'm talking about. We're all in this same struggle together. So from that point, I took 30 days amongst everything that was going on in my life to abstain from alcohol, and I did not have a single drink, not one drop. I was not tempted, because I can't say that I craved it, but there were moments where I would sit down and say, okay, I'm missing something, when I would sit down for a meal with coworkers or, going out to dinner with my husband and what have you. But what I will tell you is that I probably didn't give it enough time to see the massive improvements that I hoped for, but there were some changes. So I want to go through that for you. As far as the results are concerned, after my 30-day experiment, the number one thing that I was hoping to have was better sleep. And guess what? I did get that. And it happened almost immediately. I'd say probably within the first 4 or 5 days, I started recognizing that not only was I able to fall asleep easier, but the hot flashes that would happen during the night, they would still happen. I would still feel moments where I was kind of overheating, but it wasn't a full-blown sweat fest like I was having previously. Don't know if it was just, coincidence that I was just more conscious. I was looking for it, looking for there to be some type of improvement with my sleep, but it did happen. And I can say quite honestly that being able to sleep through the night with fewer disruptions was, that was the motivation to keep going into the next day and into the next week to keep this behavior as what I wanted to do. And I will say that was probably the biggest plus. The other thing that happened, which was another surprise, like I said, I am not a skinny girl. I would love to look a little bit trimmer and more fit, but I will have to put some more effort into that. Conversation for another day. But I did lose 3 pounds during this time frame. And you're probably thinking, 3 pounds, that ain't nothing. Well, I mean, it was a big deal to me because I wasn't necessarily putting in the effort anyplace else. There was not a whole lot that changed about what I was eating, my workout schedule, my walking schedule with my dog. It was all kind of the same, but I did step on the scale a few times, and just each week it was going down about 0.5 pound consistently without any other changes being made. So that was a very pleasant change that happened for me physically. And in addition to that, if I wouldn't have stepped on the scale, another improvement was that I had a lot less bloating. Okay. Again, you may think, okay, bloating, she's preaching and happy that she had less bloating. Well, yeah, it was a big deal because I've had many, many times where the painful bloating, putting on clothes, trying to button up your pants, and, when things just aren't fitting quite the right way, all of that just digestively felt a lot better as the weeks kept going on. So that was motivation again to just continue with this journey. Something else that happened, and you're going to judge me and probably laugh out loud when I say this, but another improvement was that I had much better regularity, all still tied to that same digestive tract. And yes, I just went on to a public space and said that I was pooping a lot more regularly, but it is the truth. And hey, I'm sorry. There's some of us that struggle in that area, and I was one of them. But I did notice that without a lot of effort, I started, having greater regularity, which was probably due to the fact that in the absence of the drinking, the water intake that I had, I was probably better hydrated overall, which I know is a contributing factor to regularity disruptions. So there you go. More water, less alcohol, better hydration leads to the regularity that I needed. Now, something else I will tell you, it wasn't all just fun. It wasn't all positive improvements. There were a few moments where I will say that one that was a less desirable impact was that there was a social piece that was a little bit different. You know that I do a lot of traveling for work. You know that I have a lot of social engagements, a lot of networking engagements where I'm around people where, the one common factor that I mentioned in the previous episode, where there's constant alcohol at these types of professional networking events. And there's no judgment about that. It's something that I regularly participated in. But when I decided for this 30 days that I was not going to have any alcohol, but still continue with my regular work activities, my regular networking opportunities, when you go into those spaces and everyone is holding a cocktail and you're the one sitting there with a bottle of water or at best a Sprite in a cup, people start questioning it. And they're curious. I don't know if they're judging me or not. I can't get into their heads. But many times they would question out loud, why aren't you drinking? Where is your drink? And I have to just, give a little sheepish answer like, oh, nah, I'm okay. I don't need anything. Or, yeah, I'm all right tonight. And it just would always spark questions that I didn't really feel like answering, things that I felt were just a little too private for some of those professional networking conversations. So that was a piece. And within my circle, there was, of course, my hubby knew, my immediately family knew that I was doing this little experiment. But to people that I'm shaking hands with for the first time and trying to talk business, that was a little too much for those conversations. So that was one less than desirable impact. But I will tell you, with the work travel and not having the alcohol as a part of that routine, I did feel more in control in those professional networking conversations. I wasn't worried about what was going to happen in the conversation. I wasn't worried about the way I feel confident or not presenting myself in the best light. It was great. I walked into every conversation fresh and rested, and I can only attribute that to, number one, having less disruptive sleep and having that good sleep because I hadn't had a drink the night before. So that was a very positive piece. And another thing, I don't like spending a lot of money, but I do enjoy going out to dinner. But another positive impact was that when we would go out to dinner, the bill is a lot cheaper if you're not drinking alcohol. And I'll just put it into context for you, because where I am in Houston, Texas, the types of stuff that I was drinking, I'm not drinking the big, hard things. I'm drinking the cute, sweet, fruity types of frozen drinks, or the, little cocktail mixers that are the special of the night. And that can run you about $15 a pop. So if you're at dinner with a partner or a friend or a group or whatever, and each of you just has one drink, $15 a head, that adds up really quickly. God forbid if you decide that you want to have 2 drinks, 2 cocktails, then that's another $30 that's added to your tab. So when you decide that you're going to abstain and just have water or maybe have an iced tea or something, your bill is practically cut in half. So I don't know if anybody else is budget conscious, if you need maybe that motivation to at least not drink out in the restaurants. That is one way to cut your bill. Maybe do it at home so that you can get a better value for your buck. But overall, I will tell you that I have completed my 30-day experiment. I have had 1.5 cocktails since the 30 days concluded. So the very first drink that I tried to have, I literally tried to drink half of it and I just didn't want it. I don't know if it was my mood at the moment, but I tried to sip it and ended up just leaving it behind. The second time, and this was about a week and a half later, I did order one of my beloved frozen margaritas, and I was able to finish the whole thing, and it was a pleasant experience. But that was it. Those are the only 2 things that I've had since my little 30-day experiment has ended. So am I still sober curious now that I've had a cocktail over the last few weeks since the experiment ended? Well, yeah. I'm still very mindful about the choices that I'm making, with alcohol being the concern. I'm really thinking about, if I have this drink now, what is going to be the ripple effect this evening or tonight when I try to sleep. So I am far more conscious about the impact that it has on my body. And I also understand that with the types of drinks that I enjoy, they are very sugar heavy, and that possibly has a greater impact on my overall health more than anything else. So I will have to make sure going forward that I try to monitor my overall sugar intake, refined sugar intake, so that it doesn't have a disruptive impact on my sleep as well. Because, I keep repeating myself about talking about the sleep, because not being able to sleep through the night was the absolute worst thing. And I have found improvement because of this experiment, so it's not something that I'm willing to just let go any day soon. So I will tell you that as far as all of this is concerned, I am absolutely not anti-alcohol. I'm not anti-drinking at all. It was just a little personal experiment that I wanted to try to see what the impact was on my body and what would be the benefits of trying to reduce a little bit of alcohol intake, a little bit of sugar intake, so that I could enjoy this menopausal journey just a little bit, because, honey, it has been a struggle. So if there is anything that you would maybe like to contribute to the conversation, maybe some other ways that you have tried to biohack your experience during this time of life, please let me know. It is definitely something that I'm open to. Any types of holistic solutions are definitely going to be my jam. So if you got something that you want to share with me that you think that I might need to try out, please leave a comment, let me know, because I can always use a little bit of improvement as far as my health and my outlook on my nutritional intake is concerned. So If this was helpful to you, let me know. But I do appreciate you tagging along and listening to my personal experience with this. I will continue to share what's going on with me, and let me know how you're getting through this menopausal journey for yourself. So thank you guys for joining me for another episode. Check out the show notes for any of the resources that I want to leave you about this whole experience, and I will see you next time.